And it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for the Greg Cherry Show. What has happened in the last 72 hours?
Jeff still hasn't slept.
I can say on an upside, last week we raised $1,100 for 988, so that's a good thing.
Always that's awesome.
Yes.
Greg Cherry, Jeff Meacham, Matty Laws, and joining us this week, Zach Nelson. What's up, Zach?
How are you?
I'm not doing too bad. We're going to be talking about WrestleMania throughout the show. And, of course, the Raw after. Jeff, did you go to Raw or no?
I did not. I was supposed to be producing one watch-along and hosting another, and my niece's birthday was scheduled, and, well, because she was born that day, so it kind of takes precedence. JJ, to his credit, produced the East Coast watch-along, and I just enjoyed it raw with my other niece, watching her reaction to the last segment. So, yeah.
Well, then you probably avoid disaster being there live.
Well, no, you know what, though? I was there the next day, yesterday, and we'll talk about that at the end when I do my ridiculously shameless chills. But the employees, the guest services people were like, this place was awfully not quiet, just like, what the hell at the end of that show. And compared to how they were Friday night, it was a world of difference. And Saturday morning, it was a world of difference. I said, yeah, it sounds about right.
Well, did you guys see Brian Alvarez's explanation of the end of Raw?
I don't watch Alvarez if I can help it because I enjoy the brain cells I do have left.
I will say there's not many brain cells needed for this one because for almost 5 straight minutes, here's the explanation of that Brock Cody segment. He beat him, and he beat him, and he beat him. Well, he beat him, and then he beat him some more. And then he grabbed a chair and continued to beat him.
And that's what happened. And I have made a executive decision. The next time I'm at the Crypto.com arena, which I'm there quite frequently, you guys know I'm a King season ticket holder, I'm going to go up to the offices there and talk to Mr. Hansen. It's like, all right, look, here's the deal. I don't want Brock Lesnar in the final segments shows here anymore.
David.
I want it not to be a thing because I've watched a good friend get his ass whooped in a pay-per-view main event. I saw my son's favorite job out in 9 seconds to him on SmackDown, and then I witnessed Monday Night stuff. I wasn't there for that, thank goodness, but yeah, Brock Lesnar's not allowed in the last segment at WWE shows at the Crypto.com arena anymore. I'm going to make that a thing. I'm going to make that my life's mission before I take that final rest, that he will never main event a WWE show at that arena ever again because I don't need the trauma in my life. I don't. I'm kind of good on that.
Yeah. I mean, that last segment beatdown was about 8 minutes long.
Yeah. It was completely. And again,
I didn't watch it.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it, but did Roman actually pin Cody? Was there a pinfall at the end? Can Cody challenge for the title still?
Okay, so here's the deal. The stipulation was his partner had to have competed at WrestleMania, but was unable. But if he became Cody's partner, he would therefore lose any chance to challenge Roman Reigns. Brock already had that laid on him after SummerSlam last year, so he was exempt from the bullshit. But it turned out to be didn't matter anyway.
So what it seems like it's going to be is it's going to be Cody and Brock at Backlash, if I had to guess.
Right, and it's one of those, they're keeping Cody busy while Roman takes his break.
Yeah, and it'll probably be, and this will kill me if it's Cody and Roman in Saudi, because it's like.
I think they're going to push that off until SummerSlam. I'm sorry to say it.
Or Money in the Bank. I mean, Money in the Bank is.
That would make sense.
I would rather it be Money in the Bank, but the thing is, if you did it at Backlash, if you did it at Money in the Bank, if you did it at the King and Queen of the Ring, you have the American Nightmare not win in America.
Exactly.
Right. Well, that's one way to look at it, and my whole thought process has been this, and I've gone around the horn. And by the way, people wondering why I'm here today and not waiting on my show tomorrow. Greg is facing the possibility of a major storm coming back up any minute. So I'm pretty much here as just in case shit hits the fan. Otherwise, I'd be sleeping for real. I'm exhausted after WrestleMania week and 2 weeks straight of streams. But
hey, at least this is the easiest hour.
It is. It's the easiest hour of the week. It really is, because I'm gonna pop off here, grab a quick dinner, and then actually go do non-wrestling activities in Hollywood, which has not happened in 2 weeks. So that's just saying.
So,
but I had I'm gonna give Richie his flowers. I couldn't give him yesterday on the review because I was traveling between San Bernardino and LA during the No DQ review yesterday, and I was trying to be part of that, and then the train conductor went, yeah, you can't be on the train doing this. Okay. There's money in 1,000 days. There's just money in that 1,000-day reign becoming a thing, and that is the day of the show in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah. Well,
so there is that. Cody wins that crown. That's the most the next current milestone. And then he can say, well, as the king, I declare I challenge him at, Money in the Bank. Or he can win the briefcase in the start of the show and then cash it at the end of the night. There has never been, and Trivia Master over here, there has never been a WWE World title change on a premium live event over in the United Kingdom. It happened with Mahal and Styles. That was on SmackDown.
Yeah. Well, and that was the first WWE title change to ever happen in the UK. So
outside North America, if I remember right.
Now, yeah. David put this in, and I don't know how pissed off you guys would get about this if they pushed it till Mania 40, giving Roman 1,200 something days.
So
if they push it off till Mania 40, which I'm still hoping to go to, and Roman retains there, this is coming back because he's not kissing my reign, the son of a bitch.
I was say, if Roman gets the Mania and retains, Greg's coming out of retirement, for crying out loud. It's going to be a thing. Yeah, and I hear people say, when Bruno, wow, here I'm moving ahead in the conversation. When Paul and Roman were at the podium or at the table there on Sunday night, people were saying, he's unstoppable, and some of you online, he's going to pass Bruno. Do you realize how long that man has to be champion to pass Bruno Sammartino?
43 at least.
Like, Jesus Christ, he's not going to be champion until WrestleMania. No, stop that. What's wrong with you people?
I would laugh, though. I would laugh.
I would be mildly entertained and amused. I don't know if I'd laugh because I would just be like, oh my God, we're covering this guy. He's been champion since my son became a driver. It's pretty much how it feels. There's money in 1,000 days, and there's honestly a buildup of Cody having the possibility of winning the championship for the first time on a premium show over in the United Kingdom. Now, could also happen in Saudi Arabia. Crown Prince loves that synergy coming off, and having that blood money go to good use. So the main thing was people were so torqued out of shape, and I wasn't like completely like bent angry or whatever, but I was legitimately surprised. There's a video I shot, and I have it saved for my show tomorrow. If I can try to get it uploaded, it's going to be a thing, but I can't put any sound on it because then I'll get pinged and it won't matter. But I was basically about 20 feet from the pyro staging at the end of the night on Sunday. And I had one hand, on my because I had to bring my tripod to guest services. That was fun. So I had one hand filming the show, just kind of one hand like bracing myself on the rail there behind the staging. And when that 3 count went down, my hand I didn't even have a conscious decision of doing this. My hand just all of a sudden just like, oh shit, they actually had Cody lose. I couldn't believe it. The story is not done. That chapter's done. And that's the thing I've been trying to, I put this thing out there, about, Kings fans being told for years to trust the process. This isn't the end of Cody's story. It's just he's taken a slight detour in the road. All roads still lead to Roman. It just doesn't have to be in Inglewood, California.
Here's my thing though, and Zach, we'll get to you in a second because I'd like to hear your opinion about.
I'm sorry, Zach. Yeah, we're totally just having you just sit there, and be a statue at this point. Sorry, brother.
If Vince McMahon is truly back in creative,
yeah,
do we trust him to pull the trigger?
No.
Well, no, and we're still assuming that's actually the case. Hunter went out there and pretty much owned it Sunday night at the press conference that it's his. He did not say it because he's not going to use that verbiage in front of the press and everybody, but he owned it that it was his decision. So whether Brock was his decision, whether Braun Breaker's heel turned yesterday was his decision, is a whole other sequence of events. But I'm trying to stay not positive because it's part. How far are we in? It's just fucking wrestling, people. Like, seriously. But I honestly think that us as wrestling fans, we've become so, if it's not my way, it sucks, that it's detrimental to our viewing, not to the product itself, just to our approach to watching it and listening to it and absorbing it and reacting to it. Greg, you and I talk about this all the time. I got my start because of having the incessant need to, shit on the Katie Vick storyline, which deserved to be shit on for the record. But it was then 20 years ago. It's like, oh, it's the reign of terror. He had just started the reign of terror a month before. Jesus Christ, we're 20 years later. We're still talking about that 3 years. So I think we've become entitled as wrestling fans, and that is a major problem.
Yeah. Zach, let's hear your thoughts on WrestleMania and Raw as a whole.
Vince can't be trusted. It just boils down to it. Look at it. We had one return that was mediocre. I love Riddle. Don't get me wrong. I love Riddle. But that was so mediocre.
That was so flat.
There was no NXT debuts. There was nothing. Unless maybe we're standing here today like, oh, Raw was terrible. And maybe Fox is like, yo, you want us to redo this deal? Your big extravaganza that you do, the major show after WrestleMania, you give it to us. That's the only thing that could save how I'm feeling right now, which is just dumbfounded.
I don't know. When is the Fox deal up? That's up next year, right? Because it was a 5-year deal.
2024 is supposed to be, but they've already been talking. They've been in renegotiations about it for the better part of, I want to say middle of last year. They started restructuring and renegotiating. So,
I mean, SmackDown's jumped around networks so often; it's absurd at this point. I mean, not that Raw hasn't, but that it hasn't been as drastic. I mean, Raw's been on USA since 2005, when they were on Spike TV, TNN, whatever the hell it is now. I honestly don't know what it is now.
I think it's the Paramount Network, but don't quote me on that. I don't know for sure if that's the thing.
That's possible. And I also want to say, because I see this comment, prayers go out to Shane McMahon for his quad.
Yeah, I was about to say McMahon quads just ain't holding up.
No.
Yeah. My second decision after.
I will also say this. I am typically very reserved when watching TV, and I don't mark out for very much. I marked out like a motherfucker for Shane McMahon.
I popped. I'm not going to lie.
I never expected to see him again.
I popped pretty big for Shane, and then I looked down for a second, checked the chat, looked back up. Shane's down holding his knee. I look at Devin, and he's like, yeah, his knee buckled. And I was like, it's a fucking ACL. He's like 50 and tore an ACL.
Right.
It's the quad. No, not as bad as the ACL, but.
Yeah. I was mid-stride to the can during that segment, it's like, okay, it's just Miz and Snoop, whatever. And I hear that music. I stopped. Like, literally, like, I stopped so fast, I almost fell over. And, yeah, luckily I didn't pee my pants at the shock of him tearing his quad, because it would have been a thing at my age. But, yeah, in addition to getting Brock banned from the last segment at Crypto, I've decided that Linda and Stephanie McMahon are both to have their entire legs encased in concrete, so they can't do that, what they did with the male members of the family. No more quad tears in the McMahon family. Not a thing. Because it's just dangerous for me to hear the ring.
I want to read this comments. I did see this. I had brought it up because we were deep in conversation.
All right.
I feel like I've addressed this on my show before.
Yeah.
And I think it was like a month ago I did the show for your birthday as a stream on NoDQ also.
Yes.
As far as me coming back to NoDQ, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Hopefully I don't have to repeat myself too much. I don't have any plans to go back.
Right.
I'm happy doing what I'm doing now.
Yep.
I broke off from NoDQ about 3 or 4 years ago. Started doing this. Had a lot of good stuff. Went on some Fightful shows. Went on WrestleMania. Did some cool things. I feel like, and this is no disrespect to anybody with NoDQ, I feel like it would be taking a step back.
Yeah, and again, it's not that NoDQ is a step back. It's that you have gone on and done other things that don't require you getting the rub from Aaron and company. You know, they'll spin a different story, and that's their decision, and you're making your decision. I go back because I enjoy the fact that Aaron and I still get along after all these years, which is always a good thing. Because, it wasn't always the case with he and I. And on that front, Greg, I don't know if you happened to see a post. I don't know if I was tagged in it or whatever it was, but the fact that WrestleMania brought the most unanticipated and surprising reconciliation in the history of the IWC, like, I actually embraced Noah Donish on Sunday.
That's incredible.
Which was, like, the hell for me. But I have found in my travels that, time, for the most part, does heal all wounds. And, him facing what he was facing and me, doing what I've been doing, it was just kind of one of those, we were young, we were barely out of teenagedom, and we were idiots. Enough of the bullshit. So that was nice. That was one of the highlights of day 2. Day 2 wasn't as bad as it's being, presented to the world post show. It's just that finish. Everybody's, so pissed off about it. And, Shane, again, so great to see Shane, and then it wasn't. So it's, it was. Other than that, I didn't have a problem with either night. I was there, but even as a fan watching it back, I thought both nights came off fine.
So going back to what we were talking about, that's not me burying NoDQ for any stretch of imagination. Yes, I was doing shows there, but I don't need to go back. Like, yes, they have more views. Yes, they have more all that stuff. But for me, I like having the freedom of being able to do shows when I want to do shows. Which, speaking of that, the Greg Cherry Show will be airing on Thursday the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
And that's because I have prior commitments. Next week, I'm doing something for the local high school to help benefit my nephew who's going to a World Robotics Tournament.
Hell yeah.
So I will be here next Wednesday. Now, following Wednesday, I'll be in Pittsburgh for Dynamite. So
hell yeah.
So that's why we're doing the Greg Cherry Show on Thursday. I'm thinking about doing like a 2-hour Greg Cherry Show on the Wednesday we come back.
Oh, there you go.
I was about to say, and I may not be here the next 2 weeks as I will be moving and the transfer of Wi-Fi and everything like that.
Okay, well, there you go. It makes it real easy then to have it on Thursdays and have a low-key presentation.
Yep.
So maybe after 2 weeks, that 2-hour Greg Cherry Show is going to be one hell of a show.
I've I came up with it about half an hour ago. It's like, you know what? I want to get some big names on for that show. Like, we don't normally have people, like, even if they just made a cameo or something.
Do you want me to make a quick game of Slamagories for that show?
Slamagories.
It's basically Jeopardy, but wrestling themed.
Oh,
could do that.
Well, we all have game shows, so
yeah, you're not gonna hear a no from a game show from me.
Yeah, no.
There you go. So yeah, we did have a crazy week last week as far as the wheel went. If you want to see the new wheel, I have updated it slightly. I've taken out the acclaimed raps because those are so hard to do in less than an hour's time. I just replaced them with entrances, and I knocked down the number of jumping jacks for the 2 big spaces.
Okay, you don't want to do 200 jumping jacks anymore, Greg, after already doing 175?
Yeah.
No.
So the 2 big amounts are now 50 and 75.
Okay, good.
So that's at least feasible. It's not going to suck as much.
Right.
But we're not trying to have me have cardiac arrest on there.
That's fair.
Yeah, that would be bad.
Yeah, that maybe I bring the viewers.
Well,
Roddy
always said if you die, do it on air. It's good for business.
I guess. Well, not if I die, because I'm the face of the brand.
I was gonna say the Greg Cherry show having Greg Cherry die would be a little detrimental.
Weekend at Greg's.
Oh Jesus!
I've never seen that movie, but I get the reference.
We need 2 really drunk guys to prop him up during the show. That's the thing, though. Otherwise, it's not as funny.
What about one really drunk Hispanic?
There you go.
Dwayne says, "Don't let Shane scare you out of jumping jacks." They're still on the wheel. It's just less of them.
You know what though? I thought the same thing. It's like if Greg pulls his squad on the air, I am done with anybody doing any physical activity outside of the wrestlers anymore ever. Because damn it, it's a curse. It's a thing.
I did tear something in my knee tripping over a ceiling fan, so I wouldn't rule it out. It's
right. God. Oh, and by the way, Greg, you know I appreciate this more than anybody else. If Snoop Dogg can call something in the ring, so can the rest of you workers in the indies, you damn lazy bastards.
Yeah. Granted, it was the worst running of the ropes I think I've ever seen. Like Mike Chioda ran the ropes better.
Hey, you know what though? As stoned as I know Snoop was,
bro, he crip walked immediately after getting the 3 count. He just jumped up and started crip walking. It was amazing.
Right?
Like that might have been the highlight of the entire weekend for me, is seeing Snoop hit a people's elbow, pin Miz, and immediately just start emoting on his ass.
It was definitely a surreal sequence. You had that, you had Hell in a Cell, which I finally saw live, and I got to see the actual cell, not the Red Crate of Hate, so that was nice.
That gash Finn got, holy hell.
Yeah, Zach, there were people complaining, oh, how do you stop a Hell in a Cell match? When you've got a divot in a dude's head, you stop the match for a second. Clean that shit up.
You could almost see Finn's skull. Like I was one of the people that was bitching during the live stream.
Right.
And then like immediately after I saw the picture that night on the Raw Ball podcast on Monday, I'm like, I owe Finn a huge apology. I could see that man's skull.
It's not even owing Finn the apology. It's bitching about the doctors, and the company. It's like, okay, this isn't 1999 where Mick Foley finishes an I Quit match with half his head bleeding all over the Arrowhead Pond of Anaheim. You got to get that shit taken care of, man. Zach, am I just being too much of a wuss, or even what?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think I can understand it from both sides. I understand it from the health aspect. From the fans aspect, I can understand because it like ruins the momentum of the match. And it's like, I understand it from both sides. So I'm going to stay neutral on this one.
Well, but this is where our internet knowledge comes in, because we all know what happened when Bob Orton was in the cell in 2005 and what he didn't disclose. So
yeah, that's fair.
If everything is going off past, acquiring knowledge based on past events, you don't want to risk the spread of anything, just in case somebody doesn't know about or whatever. So you
Did
stop.
Bob Orton pass it to anybody?
No, luckily he didn't. Except Taker wanted to kill him anyway.
If I was Taker, yeah, I would be very understandable about that.
Yeah, exactly. It was, and yeah. Tony, that's what I'm talking about. The gash on Foley's head and then I Quit match. First thing I thought when I saw Finn's head was like, oh man, that's some Foley shit right there. It's like, no, you don't just let that keep on going.
Anyway, Finn Balor's a fucking dog.
It's not like they were bleeding like a JBL opponent at Judgment Day.
No.
And yeah, it was all three of them: Eddie, Cena, and Ray.
Yeah,
Rey Mysterio freaking bled in a match against JBL.
Yeah. Well, no. JBL's second Judgment Day bleeder just ended up getting bit by his opponent on the first night like a puss. So there was that.
Look at their history lately with Hell in a Cell matches. It's not good.
Well, no, but and the thing is, you didn't see a whole lot of the accidental nicks in the Red Creative Hate era. They go back to the metal cell, and people are, they should never, this is what happened. And it's like, no, guys, it's just shit happens sometimes, and you just suck it up and you move on.
I mean, you'd have a gash in your head if somebody threw a ladder at it too. So
if somebody threw a ladder at my head, I'd be in the hospital. That'd be the end of the match, my night, probably my week. So, anyway.
I need to put this up.
What happened?
It keeps disappearing from the screen.
Well, that's because I keep clicking on comments and people bring it up. So there's a comment from Dwayne asking me the best entrance of both nights. Okay, let me be clear in my answer, because during the Hell in a Cell entrances, I got to see the entrance of the cell as I was walking around the concourse of the stadium, because it was at that point after whatever match was before that. I think it was the Intercontinental match, remember, right? Maybe it was, I forget what it was. But whatever match was before the cell, I had security converge on me for having my tripod in use. So during the cell's lowering, I missed most of that. I missed the entirety of Edge's entrance, which pisses me off to no end. And I missed the majority of Balor's entrance, walking from the 200 level suite area where they were having, I think the shrimp taco bar, all halfway around the stadium to the closest open guest services station to turn in my shit. So based on that, I will say the best entrances were Roman and Cody, because I got to get a perspective on those, like I said, from the pyro staging area, which was just a whole other experience, man, because you get that long shot and you get that pyro coming up over here behind you. That was really cool. John's entrance was wonderful. I love that they included those kids. Bianca's was awesome. And when you think about that little girl had lost her mother that morning, which was just unfathomable that she had lost her mom and still went out there and performed like no-sold it. It was incredible.
I actually do have a little bit of actual news about that, because I do know somebody that knows that little girl personally. And,
oh, geez.
So somebody actually gave them the wrong information.
Oh,
that little girl's been without a mom for over a year and a half.
Oh, okay.
So somebody gave Triple H the wrong information. So whenever he said that, it got a little bit, it got sympathy because it would have happened that day. But,
I mean, it's still hard for a little girl to.
I was about to say, especially with how young she was, over a year and a half without her mom.
So because where I was sitting, because I was still in the suite at that point for the second night, watching them walk down the ramp, it looked like a freaking. It looked like a family walking down. They had the littlest child in the front, because Bianca, and then just little bit of one in front. It was like, how old is that little girl? She's this big. She was adorable though. I loved it. I can't do what she did with her legs. I probably couldn't do it at that age. So hell, good for her, man.
I have the flexibility of a steel pipe, so you wouldn't catch me.
I was gonna say, Yeah, you have the flexibility of a steel pipe. I have the coordination of a bum elephant. So we're the greatest tag team in wrestling history. We are.
We're coming for you, Owens and Zayn.
That's right. And by the way, Owens and Zayn entrances, not in and of itself, but the PWG stuff on their tights, Super Dragon's mask on Kevin's tights.
So that's what that mask was. I didn't pay attention too much to their gear as much as their match.
Right.
But I will say that match and that ending, I was in tears, bro. I was genuinely crying tears of joy.
People were mad at me for not recording my live reaction because I shouted myself so hoarse. I was like, every time, because they're playing Sammy music, every time they said "Let's go," I would scream "Let's go" so loud they heard me at freaking Angel Stadium. I was so happy for those guys, and Aaron put that picture up of us in February from the show in Van Nuys. I think it was Van Nuys. It may have been Burbank, whatever it was, in 2007, when Kevin was still Steen and Sammy was still going away, and Aaron and I on the ring apron that same night, and it was just like, man, just 15 years ago, I never in my wildest dreams thought Aaron would still be going. I would have my own stuff I'm covering, and I'd be having a network of channels that was watching that show alongside the WWE universe and having our friends in the middle of the main event. I'm sitting there going, what in the hell is my life? This is bonkers.
Yeah. Well, you enjoyed night one a lot better than I did, because for those who aren't aware, we had a massive power outage on Saturday.
Yes.
So I basically watched the entirety of night one on an iPad with my wife's hotspot on her phone on.
Wow.
With candlelight.
Candlelit WrestleMania. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's like,
that's the worst Amish story I've ever heard.
Like I literally thought about it. It's like, 4 months ago, I thought, hey, maybe I could go on Wheel of Fortune, win myself a trip to WrestleMania 39. Yeah. And instead, I didn't get on, and I didn't have power to watch the first night.
Right.
It's like 2024 better be better. That's what I'm saying.
So
I'm ready to tank 2023 and say, you know what, I'm over it. Just get to next year.
Well, and again, I've been saying I'm not going to the freaking. That's funnier than shit, David. I'll go put that up. That's funnier than hell. Anyway,
you couldn't see him.
Theory saw him enough to bite him. Freaking wuss.
That match made Cena look like such a chump. I've got to say this real quick. A 10-minute match with John Cena where he lets go after a tap where he didn't hear the bell. I'm sorry. That was bad. That was bad. Yeah, that was bad. And again,
they might feel like Cena phoned it in.
100%.
No, you know what it was? I don't know this. Haven't talked to him. LAX is right there by that stadium. He probably walked in, threw his shit on, did the bit with the kids, had the match, went right to the truck. See you, bye. I mean,
I guess that's possible.
LA traffic on a Saturday. Trust me, I sat in it Saturday night. I was going to get the hell out of there too. So,
Greg, the Raw Ball boys have been talking. We might skip Rumble this next year, and we might all do WrestleMania in Philly.
I just feel like there's going to be so many people that I know from the wrestling media sphere that are going to be in Philly. And I haven't met a lot of them in person. I'm a 6-hour drive away from Philadelphia.
Yep.
So it would probably just be me and Fame going, right. But it would still be.
If it sweetens the pot for anybody else in this room more, I did a little figuring, and much to my own detriment at the end of the day, didn't want to go to wrestle. It's gonna be the Eagle Stadium. I can't. I'll get freaking break out in hives going in there as a Cowboys fan. And then I did a little mathematics and did a little research. Dylan's on spring break the week leading into it. Number one. Number two, he turned 16 that week. like a shit. So, and then where they're going to be, I don't remember what year they focus on U.S. history in high school. He's got a hell of a town to do research projects on.
Yeah.
Figure Independence Hall, the Liberty Bell, as a sports and movie person like he is, the Rocky Steps are right there.
the arena? Oh, wait.
No. You know what, though? It's great. That's the only part of the entirety of that area that's not in that little hub by the stadium.
Yeah.
Because the Phillies Stadium is there. Wells Fargo is where the other WWE shows are going to be. That's where the Flyers play. I know you're a big fan of those guys. So, by the way,
wear my Penguins gear just to spite.
I was going to say I will throw that shit on with you just to be an asshole. Complete side note. This is going to be random to everybody, but I think of four of us. Kings played the Oilers yesterday at here in LA. Some dumbass wore a Milan Lucic jersey, but it was a Pittsburgh jersey. And I'm like, okay, look, dude. He's played for both teams, and you wear a Pittsburgh jersey. Either you're lost or the drugs around that corner were really good.
By the way, shout out to the Pirates for sweeping the Red Sox.
What the shit, right?
I love it. As a Yankees fan, I love it.
So good. So good.
I've been so mad the whole week.
Oh, well, the Rockies are in midseason form already.
You mean the entire season form?
That's
Not
fair.
Performing.
That's fair. Hey, Dodgers.
They're like 6 games in to a 162 game season.
And I will let you know, Greg, if we get wins in any of those games, probably going to be the best we'll do all season.
Dodgers split opening weekend, so I was like, whatever.
I'm not actually going to wear. No,
of course, neither am I.
The same thing about Dallas, that they do the same thing there.
No, the only way I would wear anything that wasn't Philly centric is if I wore my own gear, which I fully plan on doing because I'm a shameless shill. And I got a really nice polo shirts now that have my logo on it, so I'm gonna wear those. But yeah, it's one of those.
I might have to get some Greg Cherry brand hoodies going.
There you go. It's going to be cold enough if these are any indication. The fact that it was that cold here.
Hopefully there won't be nasty storms all week like there have been here.
Does the Eagles stadium close up? Do we know?
I don't think so.
No, it's not good.
I think it's open air.
Well, yeah, because ours is SoFi. I know has a roof because when it got dark, when it sunset and it got bum ass cold, they went, okay, that's enough of that shit. It was chilly all weekend, both days. It was really chilly down there in Inglewood. I know y'all are back east every year, not cold. Like, yeah, I was cold. So
I don't know. It was 80 earlier today, so I don't understand.
Have these been summer storms or winter storms, Greg?
Well,
have they been like thunderstorms or have they been like heavy snowstorms?
Not heavy snowstorms. Saturday there was like hail or sleet or something like that.
Jeez.
So it's kind of like a wintry mix, as they like to call it here.
It was. I am firmly convinced that
the wind was like 25, 30 miles an hour. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm convinced that Mother Nature had a massive New Year's Eve bender and her insurance lapsed New Year's Day, and she hasn't got her bipolar pills yet this year.
Yeah,
because it's batshit crazy. All 3 months and now into April, it's insane. All across the country.
Yeah. What else? I mean, we've basically covered wrestling, so let's just bullshit the last.
Did we talk about the actual sale itself?
Well, no.
Yeah, I mean, what is there to talk about? Like, I know, it's a big deal. They merged with the same company that UFC is under. And I tweeted this a couple times. It's like, the irony that Shane wanted to buy UFC like 15, 20 years ago.
Right?
And now the company who owns UFC owns WWE. Shane had to be like punching air with his leg all bound up.
Can you imagine if they'd actually pulled everything off that he wanted to pull off and he'd bought ECW for real and then he'd bought UFC in the process? Be a totally different world right now.
Shane probably would have just straight up competed with Vince.
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
Why didn't Shane buy the UFC?
If I remember,
outbid.
I think that's what happened because I don't know who the parent company was before Endeavor, but I think Dana's people went in and just kind of just made a ridiculous offer to Zuffa or whoever it was, and was like, all right, well, in that case, if I remember the story right, it's been many years since they were sold the last time, so I don't know 100% for sure.
So, Dwayne, I remembered it like 2 minutes before the countdown ended. I was like,
right.
well,
yeah,
I don't have time to do it. Next week I'll have it done.
Greg Cherry's mustache isn't the story of the week. It's Vicente McMahon's this week.
Oh, yeah. Mr. House from Fallout New Vegas.
That's right. That's right. The Colombian drug lord himself, Mr. McMahon.
What is his name? Gomez Adams himself.
Yep.
Whoop. Is that me? Was that me going out or was that you?
I didn't hear anybody go out.
Okay, then it was me. Cool. Yeah, it's. I think that Vince's mustache was made such a big deal was funnier than heck about the whole week. But it's the sale itself is gonna be a wait and see thing.
Wouldn't that be some shit?
The way you put that, Greg. Well,
that would be hilarious, quite frankly.
Wouldn't that be the funniest damn thing? Oh my god!
Like he owns Endeavor and then just like kicks Vince out of power. Be like, get out of here!
Get
the hell out of here! Your bullshit.
I'd laugh so much.
Has them put him back in power just so he can personally kick him out?
Yeah, I'm just.
I feel like he would just keep the management team over there, sans Vince, and just be like, no, run your own thing. I own it, so now I can make the money that they do. And like he'd still run AEW, he'd still run, and then Tony Khan would just have this wrestling monopoly.
He would be the ultimate fan.
To your last statement, wouldn't that be some shit? like in the time span of not even a full year, Vince retired, Vince came back, wrestling is now owned by Tony Khan.
Yeah. It probably won't be that big. Let's be honest.
It's a huge announcement, and he only makes huge announcements every other week.
That's right.
See, I was at a Dynamite with a huge announcement, which the huge announcement was Forbidden Door, but it's like he didn't even make it. Adam Cole made it. So
right. I just want to. I'm talking more about my WrestleMania week tomorrow on my show, but I just want to throw this picture up in case I forget tomorrow because I found it so funny that it happened. So I'm at the WrestleMania event, which really turned out to be the dress auctions and stuff were all online prior to the show. The show is basically just a giant amalgamation of Fulvia's pod and the Grown Ass Woman podcast. That's pretty much what it came down to. It's just telling stories, and a bunch of other people showed up. They were on stage, jibber jabbering with each other. But in the process of going through that show, you hear Mick keeps mentioning this person on stage and looking out the way, and then the other people start picking up on it. They keep referencing Brian off stage. And over to my right is Brian Gewirtz, the former head writer of Raw. Nice. And the current right-hand man of Dwayne The Rock Johnson at $7. And I'm like, holy shit, Trev, it's Brian Gewirtz. He goes, who's Brian Gewirtz? And I went, Ruthless Regression Era. Here you go. So, it was cool Brian was there. Very nice guy. Very humble. Very surprised I asked for a picture. I think he knew who I was. But he was legit surprised I was praising his writing and Young Rock so much because I guess he didn't hear it enough.
I guess. Cool Brothers, thank you for the opportunity to spin. Let's see what happens.
Ooh, new wheel. Ready to work out, Greg?
New-ish. I mean, what is that?
I can't even see it.
20 squats. That's not.
I told you we were going to work out.
That ain't bad. That ain't nothing. All right. I'm not
Dwayne, please don't put that in the universe. It's going to be Goldberg. Please don't put that out there in the ether.
Oh, no, please don't.
God.
Dear God, no.
And specifically for Bret Hart, they'll call him Bill Goldberg. All right. Here we go.
That's right. Oh, like you, Bill Goldberg. Ruined my career.
Jeff, did you see the Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark story?
No.
I'll talk about that briefly because, like, I don't follow women's basketball, but I did see that, and I got an opinion.
All right. Well, Zach, what was your opinion on since you brought it up?
The media can go suck. You know what?
From the back, exactly. There you go.
Yep.
And
The
again,
only thing I've got to say about that is both women came out and said that they were cool about it.
right.
So it's the media making a big deal about it.
How?
What? Social media making a big deal about something?
How does one person go out there and do it, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's so awesome! She's got swag." Then the next person does it. Oh, she's a worthless excuse to this game. She's a terrible person. Like, are you freaking serious, bro? Seriously?
Social media people outing themselves as racist.
To answer the question, but before Zach goes about before Greg talks about this, to answer the question in the chat room, we were talking earlier about not being part of No DQ on this channel, so I don't think Greg's even seen the article you're talking about from Mr. Tito. I read it. I'll talk about it tomorrow on Talk Wrestling. Just to move on.
I don't think I've read a Tito article since like a bunch of people came after him for being like sexist or something.
Right? Yeah. Something like that.
So like that was the last one I read. So
Yeah.
That answers your question.
As far as the thing with basketball, yes.
Yeah, for the thing with basketball, I thought was funny.
Yeah.
It's like
It's competition.
and like getting under people's skin in sports. It's part of sports. It always has been. If you're offended with who does it, you're either on the other team or you're racist.
Yeah. That's fair.
So that's the way I feel. I don't have a problem with it. Yeah. I'm sure when I said I had an opinion, a bunch of people thought, "Oh no, a white man with an opinion about women's basketball." It's like,
no,
here's my opinion.
We're all for them.
Yeah, and it's and as far as Dwayne's question,
for the record,
I didn't click it on purpose, but okay.
I was never employed.
I was gonna say
employment means paid, and I was not.
Yeah. No, I know.
All right, this came about last night. I saw this before I fell asleep at like 9 o'clock because I was dead tired.
Yeah.
For those who aren't aware, Sherilyn Guerrero posted a TikTok that she was sexually assaulted by her stepfather.
Yeah.
And Vicky Guerrero came out with a post today, which I won't go into, but it was really nasty.
Yeah, I was about to say, and it definitely didn't. It didn't put Vicky in a good light either.
No, I think it made it worse.
Yeah, easily.
Let me say, I don't know the Guerreros personally.
Yeah.
So, everything I'm about to say is pure speculation. So
don't forget to throw that allegedly out there.
Yeah, allegedly. So these allegations happened. If they in fact did happen, like Sherilyn is saying, it paints Vicky and her new husband in a incredibly terrible light.
Evil light. It's an evil light.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. There really isn't a good way to put it.
There's no real good way to look at it.
No, there isn't.
This whole situation is fucked.
I know there are some families who like they have an outcast in their family, like they cut one of the family members out, and it's not right. It's not right no matter how you look at it. They look at them, they demonize them. I have a friend who's like that, who she's completely cut off from her family because they don't like talk to her. They have nothing to do with her. They think she's a piece of trash, and she's not. She's not. And unfortunately, that's the way some family dynamics are. So we don't know if what Sherilyn said was true or what Vicky's saying is true. But the way I see it, we have to believe the person who is claiming abuse until it's proven otherwise.
Exactly.
Which, yes, is guilty until proven innocent, but you don't want to, because the second you start saying, oh, no, this didn't happen, then more of it happens and more people get away with it.
Exactly.
We can't let people get away with something this terrible without facing some sort of consequence, or at least owning up to their actions. And what Vicky Guerrero said, she didn't deny that it happened.
No. At no point did she deny anything.
No. So that leads me to believe that there is some validity to what Sherilyn said. Again, I don't know the Guerreros. This is all pure speculation, so don't take any legal advice or any life advice from me on this, because I don't have any experience with it. But the way I see it, just from what's out there, I lean towards the side of Sherilyn Guerrero.
To that last comments point, this isn't going to hurt Eddie's legacy at all.
No, Eddie has nothing to do with this.
I was about to say, Eddie is
don't bring him
in his
into
grave
it
right now.
Yeah. So this has nothing to do with Eddie's legacy. That Eddie has nothing to do with this. So don't bring him into this, because this it's just straight up not a good thing. And that's really all I have to say about that. I hope that was sufficient on that topic, because again, I'm trying to think if I know anybody who's had sexual abuse. I'm sure I do, but I'm not going to out them on air because not my business. Sexual abuse is a terrible thing. It doesn't need to be said, but it's one of those things that it should be general knowledge. Sexual abuse, sexual assault is not okay, ever, period. There's no qualifiers for that. It's never okay. So there's that.
By the end of the year,
he should be champion, if not at SummerSlam, before SummerSlam. Any later than that, and I think that time passes. You have to pull the trigger by then, or else it's not going to be him.
If Vince is in charge, never.
I was about to say that's how my co-host thinks. He's firmly in the belief of McMahon will never put a Rhodes as world champion, and kind of showed still true on Sunday, but we'll see.
I will say this. If it's Roman Rock for the title at WrestleMania 40, I'm going to be pissed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because then is the only time I want Roman to retain.
Right.
Rock doesn't need to be the guy to take the titles from Roman.
No, he doesn't. The titles.
I might have been able to accept it with it being in Hollywood, even though it would have been kind of lame because he ended CM Punk's long reign. But I don't need to see The Rock, who hasn't truly competed in a ring in 10 years. Say what you will about the WrestleMania 32 match. He hasn't truly competed a full match in the ring since WrestleMania 29. He should not be the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns for the sake of the whole head of the table stuff.
No.
Nope. We're getting close to that time where we're gonna encourage everybody to go watch TBS. Yep. But I did want to, since I wasn't able to be on the air for the entirety of the show yesterday, and I'm getting a great picture anyway, so it worked out for the best. But happy birthday, Dylan!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday, my boy! Cam, and Greg's known me since the beginning, so because Greg was a fan of the Meacham content prior to Dylan's conception, even. So it's this banner thing is going slow. There it goes. It's crazy that I have a 15-year-old. I can't process it, but it's wild that we And it's also wild that the first picture was 5 days after WrestleMania. The other one was yesterday. So it's WrestleMania and post-Mania picture with my boy apparently going to be a thing going forward, which is fine. I have no problem with that. Because especially if we're going to be there next year. That'd be even better.
I want to comment on this.
Okay.
The Rock winning the title one more time for nostalgia purposes happened in 2013.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it caused a fight between this guy and my wife.
I was going to say, I almost slept on the porch because of that bullshit. So, no.
Yeah. In January in Pennsylvania. So, yeah. I don't need to see. Honestly, if The Rock doesn't come back to Wrestle Roman next year at WrestleMania, he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
No.
He doesn't need to do it. Like, fantasy book all you want, and if you want to see that match, buy 2K23 or something like that.
And make it.
Do the match there.
It's a damn good game. I recommend it highly. So
there you go.
It's just no need for that shit.
What's the announcement?
What's the announcement? Probably UK shows.
I was about to say, I'd have to say UK show. Like, I just saw, David said, because the Nigel announcement, he'll probably make the UK show announcement.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it's going to be a pay-per-view? Or do you think it's going to be like one of their Battle for the Belts or?
I'm hearing All Out. So, for what that's worth.
All Out in September?
Yeah.
That could happen.
The UK
I wouldn't go to
people
Chicago
would be
again, that's for sure.
The UK people would be getting one hell of a year if that's the case.
Getting Money in the Bank and getting AEW pay-per-view. Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would not complain at all. Like the globalization of wrestling is awesome.
Oh,
I don't care what anybody says. Like,
last thing.
and
Indie
plus,
wrestling is not dead.
No.
yeah, she's NXT Women's Champion. Bam!
Well, for now, we'll see. We'll see how the floor gets done with her.
And that's how you end a show with them.
That's right. That's right.
Like that. All right. So thank you everybody for joining me. Remember, next Thursday is the next episode of the Great Jury Show, and we will be joining you then. Thank you very much, Zach Nelson, for joining us. Maddie and Jeff, as always. We will see you next Thursday for another episode of the Great Jury Show. Enjoy Dynamite. Don't be a jag, and have a good night.
See you guys tomorrow.
Stay healthy. Stay hydrated.